Good morning, good morning. It is Friday the 20th of September 2024. Blimey, this year's gone fast. Welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. If you would like to join our socialites in the chat, you are very welcome to do so. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button and wait about 30 seconds and you'll be allowed to subscribe. David Feltner in there very early this morning with a super chat saying, thank you. To change, we need to change ourselves. There'll be no more VIP fast lanes, no kickbacks for colleagues, no more revolving doors between government and companies. I'll restore standards with crackdown on cronyism, said Keir Starmer. Right, so let's get into this. So first of all, let's just get the obvious Tory hypocrisy out of the way. When you are leader of the opposition, you are obliged to disclose any of the freebies that you've got. So as leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer got free tickets to the football, things like that. And he's declared them. And people go, oh my God, he's got over £100,000 worth of free shit, which I disagree with because I don't think that rich people should get free shit. They've got the money to pay for it. It annoys me no end when you see these privately educated rich people going on holiday, paid for by the BBC, followed around by a camera crew, doing all this amazing stuff. And I'm thinking, why am I paying for this rich person to go on holiday? Why am I paying for this rich person to go and experience this stuff? Like, they're rich. They don't need my license fee money to do that. They could do it themselves. So, but the hypocrisy is that the Tories, oh my God, the Tories have been doing this for years. And if you're Prime Minister, you don't have to declare these gifts. And Boris Johnson certainly didn't. Estimates suggest that while Boris Johnson was Prime Minister for those 3 terrible years, he took in, get this, £6.2 million worth of freebies. So that dwarfs what Keir Starmer's done, but also at the same time, we've got to acknowledge this is yet another PR comms disaster for Labour. I mean, how do they not get this, right? Johnny Reynolds yesterday, he was doing the rounds and trying to defend this. Like, they knew they were going to be asked questions about it. They would have known that in advance, and they should have had really good responses prepared. You talk about Sue Gray being paid a few grand more than the Prime Minister. What you say to that is, good, we're doing our bit for gender equality when it comes to salaries. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, well, how about this? You're comparing her to Dominic Cummings. All right, well, if you take into account the inflation that the Tories foisted on us over the last couple of years, actually, she's getting something comparable to what Dominic Cummings did. And she has 40 years of experience in well, not 40 years, but many, many decades of experience in the civil service. Whereas Dominic Cummings was just some weird tech pro pleb with a whiteboard. Like, experience, you pay for the experience, but also you could talk about the Prime Minister being underpaid and say, well, you don't get much as a Prime Minister these days, but if you want the best people advising. But they didn't do any of that. They just went, oh, well, that's a matter for the Prime Minister, isn't it? Oh, well, we don't set these salaries. And he says, we didn't set the salaries. He says, yeah, but you sign off on them. Keir Starmer signed off on Sue Gray's salary as chief advisor. Okay. Say, yeah, because he thought that she's worth it. Because if we're going to have people running the country, we want them to be remunerated, accordingly. I mean, there's stuff you can say. And I'll go on to the bit, I'll talk about freebies in a moment. But one angry pagan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, talking of freebies. Thank you. Good morning and many blessings for this fine Frigs Day badges, Friday Frigs Day. Hello, one angry pagan, thank you very much for that. So yes, Crystal Ball says, but we expect corruption from Tories. Starmer was portraying himself as Snow White. Yes, absolutely, Christopher. Couldn't agree more. If you're going to go down that route, pay for stuff yourself. It's really simple. Just pay for stuff yourself. You can afford it. And the thing is this, right? The rest of us plebs, right? We have to wait in a queue to get tickets for Taylor Swift or Oasis, or we have to refresh the page 1 billion times on the Glastonbury website to get through, right? They don't have to do that. But I think they should still pay for their tickets. And for gigs that I've been to recently, where I've been on the guest list, I have been on the guest list for some really big gigs, right? I still have to pay for the tickets. They're not free anymore. They used to be. Ticketmaster, not letting you, so you jump the queue, I guess. Thank you to the people who let me do that. But at the same time, it's like, you have to pay for the tickets. And I'm like, if the leader of the opposition is earning 100 grand a year or whatever it is, he can afford tickets to Glastonbury. You can afford tickets for Wimbledon or to watch Arsenal play. Pay for the box yourself. Okay, we have to, cover the security. I get that. I understand that comes with the job. But you know what? If you can't afford it, right, don't do it. I know it sounds like really like, oh, well, you're taking away his Prezzies then. No, you don't have to go to the football. You like to go to the football. It's an option. But if you're going to put the country first, party second, football third, I'm thinking. Are you thinking that? Because that's what I'm thinking. So anyway, let's see what you got to say in the chat about all this. Starmer should have red lines on gift donations instead of Brexit red lines. A PR win for him and for the country. Yes, absolutely. And just pay for it. It's fine. These fashion houses can give you clothes, right? And donate them to you and your wife. But pay for them. I mean, pay what you'll pay in TK freaking Maxx. You don't have to pay the full amount. You get a bit of a discount, but that's fine. But at least say, well, they sent us this stuff and we pay for them. Or we made a charitable donation to, a charity for the value of the clothes or the value of this or that or the other. There was a mechanism set up like that. I think everyone would be behind that, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you? These people earn over £100,000 a year. I can't stress that enough. And at the time that they are taking the winter fuel payments away from pensioners who are barely earning £1,000 a month, £250 a week, and our energy bills are going up again, and they're taking these winter payments away. I agree with them taking them away from millionaires. That's fine. Means test it by all means testing. But it's got to be it's got to be like 27,000 a year or something. It's got to be a bit higher than the bare bloody minimum, where you've got people earning £3 a week too much to get their winter fuel allowance. I mean, that's just a ridiculous system. So, really not impressed. I think the country's impressed at the moment, going into the Labour Party conference next week, which should be a joyous occasion because it's the first Labour Party conference where they've been in power for 15 years. And I don't think the last Labour conference in 2009, when they were still in power, was a particularly joyous affair because I think a lot of Labour MPs saw the writing on the wall. And anyway, in any case, Gordon Brown, well, I very much respect him as a politician and an individual and a chancellor. I thought he was a crap prime minister because he was just so glum. He was this dour Scotsman. No offence to Scottish people, but I just mean he was a dour Scotsman who just came on the TV, and every time he was there, he just kind of made me sad. He kind of just like, and I was like, oh no, just give us something to look forward to, hey? How about a bit of, fun? No, we're not going to do that. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I wish he had. I really wish he had. And Starmer's falling into the same trap. With his doom and gloom. And it all comes down to PR. It all comes down to comms. It's the way you communicate this stuff. Yes, it's the way you spin it, but the way you spin it is so important because that's how you get your message through to people. We'll have a look at the papers and how they're covering this in the moment because, the usual suspects are whinging about it, not mentioning the fact that Boris Johnson got at least like 6 million from donors. People paid for his freaking wallpaper, his disgusting wallpaper. People paid for it. People paid to play tennis with David Cameron and Boris. These Russians, they paid like £50,000. I mean, admittedly, that didn't go to Boris Johnson. It went to the Tory party. But I mean, come on. There's so many things you can point to that the Tories have done and gone, okay, so if it was wrong then, right? It's wrong now, isn't it? Yeah. So I shouldn't have done that. But next time you have a disaster in Labour, how about you employ people who have a background in PR or comms and can actually tell your ministers before they go on TV, what the line is. So they don't end up like, was it Emily Thornberry? Was it? No, it wasn't. It was Angela Regal. Angela Regal yesterday, and she was just like, well, that's a matter for the Prime Minister. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, was she not briefed? Was she going to say, look, you're going to go on the radio. They're going to ask you about this. Here's what you say. No. Anyway, never forget, he's still a Tory, says Lee Corr. We all know Labour has to be whiter than snow. Exactly, Sean. Sean has just, bang, it's hit the nail on the head so hard. It went in one. It went in one. Bang! That's how hard he hit it. Server says, I found new respect for John Major for coming out against Brexit. That's from Server Davis. Yeah, I've got new respect for Tarzan, for, what's his name? Lord Heseltine, Michael Heseltine. I've got new respect for him. He's still a Tory, but he's very much pro-European. Like, we should be part of Europe, which we should be. And if you want to join us, me and Mike Galsworthy and Femi and Peter Corr of the National Rejoin March on Monday at 7:30, please. There's a link in the chat. There's a link in the description below, which will get you free tickets. The tickets are free, so just take them. We've only got a few left, but it'd be good to fill the place. If Everton or Reading collapse because of football governance bill is weak, people will blame Starmer's tickets from the Premier League. Yeah, that's true. And I love the fact that FIFA are moaning about this is another completely different topic. So the government's bringing in a football governance bill, and basically it's going to rein in these billion trillion dollar companies that run our football, and not always from the UK, and essentially it's going to regulate them a bit better. And FIFA. that prize corruption-free institution is whinging about it, saying no government should be getting involved in football. And it's like, yeah, but if football's causing loads of corruption in our country, then it's a government's duty to get involved, because a government's duty is to protect its citizens against, corruption, against price fixing, against, things that are illegal elsewhere in society, but not illegal for football to do. Gary says Starmer is a bit politically naive. Yeah. I guess if it makes sense to him, then he feels like it makes sense to everyone, but it doesn't always come across that way, and it's why they need better comms. Alliston says Labour missed a good leader, having Mr. Smith that sadly died. Sorry, I forgot his. It was John Smith, wasn't it? Yeah, he died in, what was it, 93 or 94, and then obviously Tony Blair took over. David says, Graham, will you be happy to use the euro currency instead of the pound? Yes. I don't want little pictures of King Charles sausage fingers all over my wallet, and it's all electronic now anyway. Who cares? But what I think they should do in the UK, because what British people are like, is just peg the UK pound to the euro. Just peg it to the euro. That's it. But then we can't fiddle with our own economy and our own currency in ways that allow us to, do things like we stimulate the economy by basically printing more fivers, while the Tories' main policy is just burning fivers. Labour have been out of power for 14 years. They'll learn. Yeah, I don't think that's a good excuse, Gary. You could say, a filmmaker doesn't make a film for 14 years and then comes back and makes an absolute belter. You don't think about it, but if he comes back and makes an absolute bloody, an absolute bomb, people go, oh my God, you just out of practice, obviously. But yeah, sometimes it can take that long. I think Terrence Malick, between, what was it? Days of Heaven, was it? And then The Thin Red Line, that was about 20 years or something, wasn't it? It looks like Starmer thinks PR is trivial. Yeah, indeed. Tactical valuation isn't quite the economical multitude it's made out to be. That's true, Yoni. I have to agree. Yoni comes from Finland, where they do use the euro, and it's a powerful currency. When I was traveling around the world, it's a really powerful currency to have. I realized very quickly in West Africa, for instance, that the dollars that I had were useless. Pounds would be less than useless. It was the euros that people wanted, because the West African and Central Africa CFA, the CFA, is linked to the euro. So there you go. Things you find out when crossing the river into the country of Senegal. Thank you very much to One Angry Pagan, woo, for the £20 super chat. Norse god of justice, Tyr, put his hand on the mouth of Fenrir as a sign. Fenrir, I'm probably pronouncing all these wrong. As a sign of trust, in case Odin and others betrayed Fenrir. When the gods betrayed Fenrir and bound him, he took Tyr's hand. Labours must be weary of corruption. Well, exactly. I mean, they need to be wiser than white. And that's not a phrase that we shouldn't really use these days, but you know what I mean. Simon Smith, a lot of the Tory MPs use tenors as straws. Yes, they did. and not to drink their milkshake. Sarah Davis, Bank of England found 10 billion down the back of a sofa. Yes. Donations in the workplace are not acceptable and considered bribery. Why should a PM be treated as any different? Says Victoria. Yeah, I agree. But this is the thing, right? Okay, here's the madness of it. So as leader of the opposition, you have to declare when people give you freebies, right? When you're Prime Minister, you don't. What? Is that the system now? Is it? And they're going, oh, the previous leaders of the opposition didn't do all this stuff. It's like, yeah, the past few leaders of the Tory party have been Prime Minister, so they have not had to declare stuff. Let's not forget that Rishi Sunak flew everywhere in a helicopter when he could have taken the train. He flew everywhere in a helicopter when he could have taken the train. I mean, come on. Whiter than white should be purer than pure, says Christopher. Good point, mate. You bring euros and still label them pound and then phase that out. Yeah, I know what you do is you still have your pound notes, but you just put a euro symbol on them. So they're worth a euro. In the same way that a Scottish pound is still worth a pound. So your pounds in, yeah, that's the way I would do it. It's got a different design on it. A design that will keep the Brexiters happy. But then again, the Brexiters are happy with the new British passport, which is blank on every page. It used to have these beautiful illustrations of British architecture and British monuments and British culture. Now it's got nothing on each page except just a simple rose design, I think, in the middle of the page, like we used to have in the 1990s in our passports before, graphics took that extra leap. And started actually looking really, really good. And also, those passports are not made by Delarue anymore. In the UK, they're made by a French company and printed in Poland. But the Brexiteers love that, so I'm guessing they wouldn't mind changing to the euro and just having really bland banknotes as our banknotes, because the euros are really bland. I've got to say that they are really bland. One thing I do like about the British money, generally we do make quite attractive notes, even though the people on the notes are not necessarily attractive. See what I did there, Charlie? The beauty of the new British passport is it'll stay blank on every page because any place worth going will need a visa soon. Well, I mean, Yoni, I don't agree with that. I mean, I know what you're saying, right? And I'm saying I don't agree with that. The reason I don't agree with that is the British passport's still quite powerful. It's not as powerful as it used to be when I was traveling back 15 years ago. It was the most powerful passport in the world, i.e. you could get into the most countries with that visa. You can still get into a shitload of countries with that visa. Now, it's about the 16th most powerful, equal 16th. It's gone down a long way from number one, but it's still in the top 20. But it's not about that for me. It's about the fact that there's shitty new blue passports. It's not just, the extra hassle I'm going to have next year trying to get into my continent, the EU, Europe. It's also the fact that I can't use it now to live and work anywhere in Europe like I used to be able to. The rat bastards who voted for Brexit took that away from me. Have they said sorry? No. Have they given me any monetary compensation? No, they haven't. They've literally ruined my career and ruined, a lot of things that I wanted to do with my life. I'm only here once. But, don't feel like you have to apologise. People who know me and members of my family who voted for this shit, just, it's fine, I think maybe they think that if they apologize, it's like slavery. If you apologise, they think there's going to be some kind of reparations that will need to be paid. It's fine. I'm not going to ask for reparations. Buy me a drink now. Anyway, Gary, if you want to buy me a drink in real life, come meet me on Monday. We're going to be at the what's it called? I'll get there in the end. We're going to be there at the Ship and Mitre on Dale Street in Liverpool. It's going to be boss. Right, super chat. Gary, thank you so much for the super chat. Please don't declare this. Okay. Okay. I hope you can buy me a pint on Monday as a kickback for my birthday. Gary, I will indeed. Just turn up and say, I'm Gary, you owe me a pint. It was my birthday. One angry pagan. All this is distract us from the big picture thinking. Well, I mean, yes, you're right in a way, one angry pagan. I do agree with that. There are more important things to be talking about. But this is the fundamentals of government. This is Labour going forward, and they're making this many fuck-ups this early on in their administration. It doesn't bode well. I mean, you could argue that they're not going to have another general election for 5 years, so who cares? Like, everyone's going to have forgotten about this in 5 years' time. Of course they will. But as things stand, it's not a good look. It's really not a good look. They need to be purer than pure. With regards to your cough, have you been prescribed cortisone through an inhaler? I know someone who had 2 months of coughing and that took care of cough. No. My partner has a Ventolin inhaler, is it? And she said that I could use it if my throat closed up, but it's stopped doing that now, really. Just still got this cough. Daylight Dave says that the Ship and Mitre is my favourite pub in the whole world. Oh, wow, Daylight Dave. That's quite cool. I do like the Ship and Mitre. They're fond of scouts. They used to give out. So I used to work on Dale Street, just a few doors down at number 81, which was the elevator building back in the day, which was owned by the Speed Brothers. And so the Ship and Mitre was kind of like our local, along with Thomas Rigby's going the other way, a few other pubs on Dale Street. But Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, free scouse. You could go to the Ship and Mitre and get a bowl of free scouse from the kitchen. It was the best. So that was our Wednesday tradition after work. There's a lot of unions, a lot of workers. They have to start somewhere and can't do it all at once. We've all got to start somewhere, but Labour can afford to be more bold right now. They've just entered office. You know, they can do more. They can be doing more. But all we're going to hear for the next month or so, longer than a month, I think it's November, we're finally going to get the budget. I think it's November, is it? It's more than a month we're waiting. And they're just going to say, we have to wait for the budget. We have to wait for the budget, which is no politician's trick. This started with Tony Blair. It might have been done before then, but I never noticed Major or Thatcher doing this so much. Blair would have an investigation. He would say, we're going to have an inquiry into this thing that's happened, this bad thing. And then up to the point where the inquiry makes its decision on what happened, I'm not going to comment. And politicians have just done that again and again and again. You've seen it, haven't you? Where they go, I can't possibly comment. There's an inquiry going on, and then the inquiry comes out, and they go, yes, we will take this into consideration, and that's the end of it. It's like, oh my god, like you've gone for like 7 years without commenting on this thing because of this inquiry. And the inquiry comes out, and it's like, okay, yeah, the findings, like within a week, everyone's forgotten. It's a good trick, that, isn't it? 30th of October, thank you, Cluster Bungle, for the date. Yeah, so it's just over a month that we've got to wait. But up till then, it's just going to be, you're going to have to wait for the budget. You're going to have to wait for the budget. You're going to have to wait for the budget. And I'm very, very glad, let me just say, that you're here. And also, I'm very, very glad that I changed the name of the channel, just before the election, because I'd hate to be here being an apologist for Labour and going, there's a justification for this comms breakdown. No, there isn't. It's just shit. Like, sort it out, Labour. Come on. You're in charge now. No excuses. No more heroes anymore. Right. I'm just going to scoot round here. Oh, sorry. You can see a bit of the edge of my green screen there. I'm going to just pop down on my... I just made my seat go down a little bit because the top of my hat was getting cut off. Right, so we're going to have a look at the papers, and this is going to be fair to a few things that we've been talking about. But first of all, I want to bring up this horrific rape scandal involving Mohammed Al Fayed, Dodi's dad, who owned Harrods, who turns out that he's dead now, a serial rapist. At least 100 victims of sexual assault at his shops, just beyond horrors, shop of horrors. What can you say? I mean, this is what the rich are. This is the rich. I can't get this across to people enough. When people get too rich, they believe themselves to not just be above the law, which they generally are. They believe themselves to be above the normal standards of life that hold society together. They feel like they're above it all. That's why you hear about these tech bros who want to start their own country, or they start their own town. It's a libertarian ideal, and it always fails, of course. But like, they don't want to be part of society. They don't want to pay tax. They don't want to, be constrained by the rules and the norms that constrain the rest of us. And Mohammed Al Fayed, just another sad, horrific example of this in practice, and a litany of victims left behind in his wake. We've got a picture of Scarlett Johansson there on the front of the Times, whoever she is. I think she's famous for some reason. No, she's a good actress. I'm completely in control, says Starmer amid grey salary row. It's the idea that because Sue Gray's getting paid more than the Prime Minister, she's calling the shots, which is what we said about Dominic Cummings. But the difference is Dominic Cummings really was calling the shots. And then we've got Reeves told... Sorry, I pressed the mute button there by accident. Reeves told to reverse cuts after £10 billion boost. Bank of England windfall eases budget pressure. So this is... someone mentioned this, didn't they, about the Bank of England finding £10 billion on the back of the sofa, which is good. And also, Hezbollah tells Israel it faces harsh punishment. This is in the wake of the pager and walkie-talkie explosion event. What do you want me to call it? Madness on Wednesday and Thursday. It just, yeah. Hezbollah chief vows retribution against Israel after wave of attacks, as from cover of The Guardian. And then the Daily Mail there with English identity is under threat. Well, generic, but the big story at the top is Starmer on the rack. God, the tabloids didn't wait, did they, to start laying into Starmer? But, you know, this is something where Labour could have handled this better. Number 10 aides in open revolt over Sue Gray's £170,000 salary. He is forced to insist, I'm in control after just 77 days in office. He claims that having free box at Arsenal saves taxpayers' money. Do you know what would save taxpayers' money, mate? Not going. Just not going to see Arsenal. I mean, it's only football. I know it's very difficult for people who are really, really into football to get this, but, like, it's only football. Like, seriously, there'll be another match. There'll be another day. You can watch it on the telly. You know, like, you can watch it on the telly. You can go down the pub. It's fine. But Harman warns him to stop doubling down on freebie furore. Harman is absolutely right there. We've got the Daily Express here. I didn't realise you could see my pointer there. I survived atomic bomb tests and cancer, but will I survive this winter? Says old man. So that's the Daily Express really leaning into the whole, how dare they take this winter fuel allowance away from pensioners. This was the same paper that was all gung-ho for taking food away from starving children. It was only because of Marcus Rashford that didn't happen. Minister defends Kadja PM's £100,000 of freebies as OAPs lose £300 fuel help. What planet are they on? There you go. That's Johnny Reynolds being called a moron. Moron business secretary says £91,000 a year. MPs deserve a bit of relaxation. Exactly. Like, I don't. Johnny's not a moron, but like, why? Just what was the spin? What was the spin there? Alistair, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. Glad you changed the name as it's got more people in. Well, you say that, but I'm gonna have a what's it called? A call to action? Is it? You have a call to action. Can you get some of your mates to start subscribing? Because in the last month, as you might have seen, Phil's latest video, or one of his latest videos, he's talked about this. Like, political content on YouTube has gone off a cliff. Like me, Tansky, Phil, A. Thompson, we've all felt this. Like, I've lost subscribers. That's never happened before. This channel, since I started Labour Social last year, we've taken about 1,000 new subscribers on a month, right? Over the last 28 days, we've lost 21 subscribers. It's minus to net 21. So if you've got friends who might be into this kind of thing, and you have a chat with them in the morning and in the chat, just put them onto it. Put them onto us. But my theory is, and this is what I was talking to Phil about after the show we did yesterday, is I just think people are exhausted. They're like, right, I've done politics now. Can I do something else? Which is fair enough. I completely get that. But I'm not going to pivot, at least until after the American election. There's Scarlett Johansson looking radiant there. I'm still in control, says Starmer as feud of us. I mean, what a ridiculous thing for the Prime Minister, I have to say. And Middle East steps closer to the regional war. Obviously, this is a serious brewing escalation of not brewing actually, just escalation of violence in the Middle East. No, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. And then just into the timeout there. Sorry, the timeout? That's what it looks like the name is, but it's the Metro. You need to press on the X and that. Metro saying Al Fayed, a serial rapist, which is a horrific story. And just a long line in the last few weeks of just really, really horrific stories of men being horrible to women. And you know what really doesn't help? People going, well, not all men. Not all men. No. Men run the place, mate. They run the place. They really do. They make the laws. They build the buildings. They make the films. The ergonomics. Everything's around. Everything in life is perfect for me because I am a 5'10" white man. And the ergonomics of our life are based around my physique. Great. Middle-aged, middle-class, white. Great. Thanks for that. Everyone else, you're in trouble. You're too short because, you're a woman. I mean, women are shorter, but let's not even have crash test dummies that are set up for the women's physique or adjustable so that women can have the strap come down a bit lower so if they're in a crash, the safety belt doesn't go across their neck. No, that's not that. And I heard them talk about toilets. Like, I'm not obsessed with toilets. Like, J.K. Rowling is obsessed with toilets. But, oh my God, why is there always a queue for the women's toilets? For the women's toilets, there's always a queue. For the men's, never a queue. At all the gigs I've ever been to, all the festivals I've ever been to, always queues for the ladies, never queues for the gents. Why is that? Because of architectural, endemic, institutional sexism. Women's toilets need more space, but they're not given more space. They are given the same footprint, nearly always, as the male toilets. Madness. Absolute madness. Right, Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat. Ooh, the super chats are coming in thick and fast. Thank you very much. The thing I'm most unhappy with is Labour excluded having disabled persons representative on the panels of experts for boosting opportunity. Oh, mate, that pisses me off as well, mate. That's really shit. They really should have had someone representing the disabled community, because I've talked about this a lot of times, but like, this is why DEI is so important. A lot of people just don't think. They just don't consider, like, they go, okay, well, what should we do with this? Okay, I'll give you an example. We tried to get Taylor Swift tickets last year, and there was a thing set up for disabled people. So in advance, you could say that you're disabled, and you would you'd be put to the front of the queue, essentially, as long as you could prove you were disabled. But to get this, you had to call them. You had to call up Anfield in Liverpool. Can you see the problem there with my partner who's deaf? She can't use the phone. Anyway, One Angry Pagan, needless to say, we didn't get tickets. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. They want us to think our identity is unchanging, denying social evolution while society continues to evolve anyway. Funny if it were not so dangerous. Yeah, social evolution. I mean, that's a really great way of putting it. Like, I'm all for evolution. I'm all for things incrementally getting better, getting stronger, getting more effective, getting more efficient over the years. Not overnight. I'm not talking about some social Darwinism. I'm talking about, actual kind of, Darwinism over the period of 1 million years. Evolution. Not social engineering. Just let things change as they change. You've got people who complain about new words being added to the Oxford English Dictionary. I mean, like, what is wrong with you? Oh, really? We have these new words added. Oh, why are there new words? Because we have new things to describe as society changes. And Ivan says, £5 super chat, thank you very much. So basically, I have no hope to boost my YouTube channel. Well, Ivan, I mean, we should probably have a discussion about this, maybe on Discord. Maybe we could get like Aid and Tan and other political content creators and yourself to talk about this. Get Reagan Elite, Max. I don't think it's going to be forever. That's all I can say. Like, I think that this is just caused by the fact that people are a bit exhausted with politics. They just want to break from it. That's what I see. Because if it was just my channel, I'd just get all like Oh God, everyone hates me. But it's not. Phil's really feeling the pinch. Other content creators who, have more subscribers than this channel are really feeling the pinch right now, because political content is slightly out of vogue. And do you know what? We knew this was going to happen. We knew that it was going to be a case of, this is why, if you noticed, I was doing so much live stuff before the election. Like I was doing Morning Brew on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm doing a lot more shows than I am at the moment. I need to get back into that. We need to be making episodes of How We Fix Britain. Hugely important. But say this Sunday, I'm going to be at the Labour Party conference on Sunday, so I'm not going to be able to do it this week. Hopefully next week we'll start doing that again. Veg Pie, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's very kind of you. When I went to see Jodie Comer at the play Prima Facie, the majority of the audience were women. The queue for the ladies was off the scale. Boom. Exactly, because that theatre was designed by a man. It was built by men for men. Women were an afterthought, in the same way that disabled people are often an afterthought. But if you make things accessible for disabled people, you make them accessible for people with pushchairs, for people who, have limited mobility, not necessarily in a wheelchair, but, find it difficult to lift their leg up to go up steps because they're waiting for a knee operation for 2 years because of the way the Tories have ran the NHS. Like, making things more accessible helps everyone. It doesn't just help the people that, accessibility is designed for. It helps everyone. And the idea that I would be mildly inconvenienced if a doorknob was, a couple of inches lower, I wouldn't. Like, I could deal with that, I'm able-bodied. Like, the ridiculous idea that we've got to build our entire modern life and our world that we exist in around the physique of an average man is bonkers, when the vast majority of the people on this planet are not average men. A lot of men are average, but, you missed the pesticide Brexit story on the Guardian papers. Did I? Was it on the front cover? I missed that. Let's have a look. Oh, wow, yes. Okay, we'll go back. There you go. You didn't give me a super chat, but I'll get rid of that. It's just above my head here. Look, it's just there. It's just there. Pesticide levels on food soar since Brexit. Changes to regulations since Britain left the EU means that from rice to grapes are allowed to carry more pesticide residues. Just another Brexit benefit. We're all eating poison now. Hooray for Agent Orange! I'm 6 foot and kitchen sinks, says I Like My Life. Even plugs and light switch have to be moved. It turns out not everyone is 6 foot and able-bodied. Yes, exactly. That's fine. That is what's the problem with that? I mean, there is the argument that you shouldn't have switches so children can reach them, but that's bollocks because we have plug sockets at foot level everywhere. Like, that's just normal. The kid could put a fork in that if they wanted to. I mean, a light switch a bit further down so that people in wheelchairs and shorter people and children can actually operate the light switch. Good. Do that thing. Do. And I've often talk about some of the things that are maddening when, my partner's deaf, and the things that we have to deal with. I often talk about the cinema a lot and the fact that we can't go and see films when they come out because there's very few films are subtitled. One of the other ones is hotels. So if Catherine's staying in a hotel on her own, right, how does she wake up when there's a fire alarm? Because the alarm's not going to wake her. You bang on her door, that's not going to wake her. Most people in fires die from smoke inhalation in their sleep because they just don't wake up. Not necessarily the heat will wake you up or anything. You might just suffocate. You might just wake up in a darkened room because the power's gone off and the completely black, and the room is full of smoke. So what do you do? Well, you go to the reception and you ask for like a vibrating pad that you put under your pillow, and if the fire alarm goes off, that pad vibrates and wakes you up. Yeah. You'll be amazed at how many hotels, expensive hotels, like good hotels, named brand hotels, either don't have this, or when they do have it, it's not working, or if they do have it, they only have one. They have like 300 rooms, but they only have one thing for deaf people. And considering 10% of the population have hearing problems in this country, 10%! I'm just looking at that going, what the hell? What the hell are we doing? Another issue that doesn't come up till someone points it out, because if you can hear fine, and everyone in your family can hear fine, you will never have to think about that. They won't even come up. Why would you even think about that? Of course you wouldn't. And that's not a dig at you or me before I started going out with someone who was deaf. It's just like society needs to put these things in place. And not having someone who is disabled on a board talking about how we can make this country better is madness to me. I mean, that if I had my way, everyone on that around that table should be from some minority of some sort and say, how can we make things better for us, which will then in turn make things better for everyone. Multicellular living organisms evolve or die, says one angry pagan. Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more. Graham, even Linda McCartney, vegan products are not healthy anymore. I love veggie burger when I lived there. My brave ginger, says David. I don't know. Probably not. Phone box chicken. I work with a young lad who is a giant. He's about 6'9". He has to duck in every doorway. Well, there you go. New regulations needed say there needs to be flashing lights, or as you stated, vibrate alarm. Graham. Well, that mean like there is flashing lights, which does help, by the way. But yeah, having a what we have here in our house is the smoke alarms are all connected by wireless, and then there's a vibrating pad that Catherine can put under the pillow when I'm not here. But also there's a unit that flashes really, really bright next to the bed. So you imagine like a little alarm clock type thing, but it's got like this massive, it's got very, very bright strobe on it. And it does wake you up. Believe me, oh my God, it wakes you up. But yeah, that sort of thing, that should just be, standard for hotels. But when you book a hotel, you hardly ever see a little tick box to say, I have a disability. And then something that you can say, I need to have X, Y, Z. If you are disabled and you need a particular, setup in the bathroom, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're blind, things that can be set up for that. I don't see a tick box when I'm booking a hotel for that. Do you have any disabilities? Yes. What are they? What do you need? Let us know before you get there. So you don't turn up and say, right, I need one of these things. And they're like, oh, sorry, it's broken. Or, oh, sorry, it's someone else has got it out. We've only got one. Anyway, same as checking cubicles when an alarm has gone off. Clearing an area needs visual clearance. Yeah, absolutely. Sockets higher would also be helpful, says Stephanie. Yeah. New regulations say there needs to be flashing lights, as you stated, vibrate alarm. Graham. Yep, the worst is closing footpaths to build something, making walkers go further, often because of a road. Oh God, Jeannie, don't get me started. Don't get me because it's 15 minutes. I've gone 15 minutes over time. I could talk about pedestrian infrastructure in this country and how maddening it is all day. I mean, it's getting better. They're talking about pedestrianising Oxford Street in London, which is a step in the right direction. But the way that urban planners did things in the 60s and 70s, it was like they weren't even designing life around the physique of a 6-foot man, okay? They were designing society, everything, a lived urban environment around a 6-foot man in a car. And that's why we have these pedestrian bridges over these roads. Like, why does the road need to be 60 miles an hour? Why? Who needs to get somewhere that fast? Just slow the road down, put a pedestrian light in it so people can cross. No. The road has to be 90 miles an hour. Everyone has to get there really fast. No, you don't. You don't. The thing is, right, once you're over 10 miles an hour, once you're over 20 miles an hour, once you're over 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, right, once you're over that, it doesn't make much difference. The first 40 miles an hour that you get to, right, obviously that makes a massive difference on how long it would take to get somewhere walking. But try it. Do you drive down the motorway at 60 and then speed up to 70 and see how much your destination time goes down, your ETA on your Google map? It doesn't go down at all. It's nothing. It's like a minute. It's like, oh wow, I shaved a minute off that journey. But yeah, so we had these bridges, and to get to the bridges, because they have to be wheelchair accessible, there's like a massive ramp going up or round or... And I'm like, just put a crossing in with a button, and you press the button and then it beeps and people stop because it's a road. And I don't understand why pedestrians in the cold, 6 months of the year, here it is cold, in the rain, in the sleet, have to make an extended journey in the elements so we don't inconvenience someone sitting down in the dry in their car. Oh no, we don't have to stop the car. Oh my God, no, we don't have that. You've got to walk an extra half miles across the bloody street. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We've got big barriers either side of the road just in case we have a crash. No, how about you slow down? They don't need the barriers. And we can cross where we want to. At least we don't have jaywalking rules in this country. God, that's another one. That'll get me started. Right. One Angry Pagan says, all hail the Badger. Couldn't agree more, mate. Thank you very much for the super chat. I will be back at 1 o'clock with Phil Morehouse for The Agenda, where we will be talking about what's been going on in politics in Britain this week. And then we'll be back again at 9:30 on Politics Social for the Politics Social tonight. So if you're watching Max's stream, come over to us. Watch Aid at 7:30, watch Max at 8:30, watch us at 9:30 if you wanna. And we'll be joined by our usual gaggle of wonderful people and myself. And we'll be chatting into the night and having a beer and just making some jokes about what's been going on. Slightly satirical view of what's been happening. And then we'll talk about video games and old movies, because we always do. Right. Someone should paint zebra crossings overnight. Yeah, should indeed. Australia has excellent traffic light alert. They make strange noises over there. Then they make a ticking noise. Is that the one? Right, anyway. So thank you very much. I think I've agreed with Graham on everything today, says Ruth. Woo! I feel very lucky. Thank you, Ruth, for agreeing with me on stuff. I'll be back to normal on Monday, and you'll disagree with me on everything. Right, so hopefully I'll see you at 1 o'clock. And until then, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for the kind words and discussion in the chat. Respectful discussion. I love the fact that we get very few trolls on this channel. It's one of the things that I really value about it. And yeah, thanks for the super chats. On the way out, give us a like. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.